Ladies and gents, from Sujuex, and this is Marine captures over 1,000 POWs, the Pied Piper of Saipan, Guy Gabaldon. Yeah, this much on Electrician, this, I guess, the second part, because I already watched the first half of it few days ago, I don't know how long. Yeah, it's been insane story so far, like this literally like from that like cartoon Pied Piper. Is it cartoon? It's a story that's turned into cartoon, but yeah, Electrician showed it in earlier. Just like old cartoons, it's fucked up. Somebody goes there, takes out all the rat by, playing the flute. They don't give them the money, so the Pied Piper takes their kids. To what? Who the fuck knows? So this guy basically is a Pied Piper when it comes to, Japan, because he speaks Japanese, he's fluent in it. And he can just he has such balls, so he can just, okay, come out with your hands up, and he's just like taking people one by one, POWs. It's just increasing. This is a very interesting story so far, because he's friends with certain Japanese people, right? He's really admires them. And then all this Japan thing happens. They were sent into certain camp, right? He's angry at Japan for doing it. And he comes to realization where he really loves the Japanese culture. He likes Japanese people, but then he has to fight them for his country, I guess. And then it comes a point where it's either them or me, which is like an insane threshold to cross, which a lot of people in World War II, a lot of soldiers crossed it. Even today, in a lot of wars, when shit happens, certain soldiers always crosses the threshold, which is kind of fucked up. Once you cross that, you can't come back. This is why a lot of soldiers need therapy as well. Shell shock, it was known in the past. Now it's like PTSD. It's insane how that thing works. Mental issues are something like if anybody has even small amount of mental issues, they would know how fucked up that can be. And this being at that scale, damn. So that's why it's fun. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. So I know which I would to watch more. I've watched Electrician videos. I'm pretty sure there's Count Dankula. This type of channels, right? Really fun. The story, the way they tell it. So if you want to do more reactions like this, definitely comment, subscribe, whatever that whole thing is, and that would help out the channel as well with the algorithm and things. So yeah, that's what it.
Indirect fire from artillery, mortars coming from where the Marines are. They're just blowing the entire side of this mountain the fuck up. He runs, he dives in between two rocks. He's literally just huddled up in the fetal position, hiding by these rocks as this massive artillery barrage just keeps destroying the earth around him. And it just keeps going and it keeps going. He's in the fetal position hiding for 10 hours straight while they bombard this area all night long. And somewhere during this 10 hours, it dawns on him, oh shit, if they're bombarding this much, they must have seen a ton of activity here. Even when the artillery stops, I'm probably going to be completely surrounded. I got to get the fuck out of here. That morning, the artillery fire stops. He hops up and is booking it back towards the Marine Corps lines. And he comes up on a bunch of Japanese, what's left of a bunch of Japanese. They're just pieces at this point, really. And there's just, anatomical confetti everywhere. And he's like, oh, that's a nice watch. That's a nice watch. Oh, they also have sake and hard candy. And he just basically, loots all these bodies for all the good shit, which is that a war crime? Kinda.
Oh, hey, just playing video game at this point. Finders keepers. What you gonna say? Yeah, obviously there's a problem there. But damn, imagine that, just confetti, body parts and shit. You just seeing that. I guess he's been through a point where he's okay, I guess this is happening now. This is life.
Does anybody care? No, not really. Everybody's doing it in World War II. It's part of the game. So he comes back to the front lines, not with prisoners, but with a bunch of sake, so everybody's happy.
Very good. Saipan.
And then for his next adventure, he again almost dies. And again, it's not by the enemy, it's by other Marines and a lack of communication. You see, Guy is now no longer officially working as a scout, despite the fact that that's his MLS. He's been now working with the intelligence section because, well, he's basically just going out and capturing POWs and turning them over to military intelligence. So that's who he's working with. And one of the scout platoons asked for 2 volunteers to go with him from the intelligence section. So obviously Guy and Hurley volunteer to go. Now the scouts, it's a small unit of 8, 12 guys. They're used to going out behind the wire together. They're used to communicating. They know how to look out for one another. They're all friends. They all know each other. And Guy and Hurley are the 2 guys that are kind of tagging along. So in the dark and night, the scouts aren't really paying attention because they're not used to having stragglers that don't know what they're doing and don't know how to keep up with them. And they end up losing the scouts in the middle of the night. And it's just him and Hurley, and they're lost. So they try to catch back up and find the scouts, but they're not able to do it. They're scouts, they're sneaky, that's the whole point. So Hurley's like, well, let's just head back to the Marine Corps line, and Guy's like, no, absolutely not. Everybody's gonna think that we're cowards and we dipped out on this scout mission, so we're just gonna go look and try to find some more POWs or keep trying to find the scouts for a couple hours. That's what they do. They're roaming around the jungle at night looking for the scouts, and eventually they're like, okay, fuck it, we'll go back to the line. Nobody's gonna think we're a coward at this point. So they head back to the line. It's still dark out, and you know, this is a bigger mission with more people involved, so it was a little bit more coordinated, and there was a password for going out behind the wire, and the password tonight was to yell cities, and then the line was going to respond back with the name of a US city, and then they were supposed to respond back with another name of another US city. So they kind of approach the line, they yell out cities, and the Marines just start opening up with machine gun fire. They duck into a foxhole and take cover, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? The fire finally dies down, and they yell out again, cities. The Marines open up fire again.
Somebody started shooting at us first! And they're still fucking shooting at us!
Guy and Hurley don't realize this in the moment, but the scouts had already returned and they had used that password, and the guards knew that there was only one unit out there that was going to use that password. So the guards in their head are thinking that Japanese were trailing the scouts. They heard what the password was, and now they're trying to take advantage of it to sneak up on the Marines and kill them. But Guy doesn't know that yet, but he does know that yelling cities isn't working. So he just yells out in perfect English, "We're Marines, stop shooting." The Marines on guard then yell out, "What's the password?" And Guy, in a stroke of brilliance, yells out the name of a US city, but he picks a very particular city because he knows that a Japanese soldier isn't going to be able to say it correctly, and that's going to signal to the Marines, oh shit, they're actually Americans. So Guy yells out Honolulu, knowing that a Japanese person trying to copy English would pronounce it Honolulu.
Nice, very nice. Thanks.
And with that, they're let back into the Marine lines without getting shot at. Buh! You can't say that. That was kind of racist. Buh! Okay, first of all, I'm just repeating history. This is what happened. That's not my fault. Secondly, if you own a pair of Lululemons or you've ever been to a mall with a Lululemon store and that didn't offend you, shut up. Go ahead and Google why Lululemon is called Lululemon and get back to me with the racism bullshit.
Trace is what he's saying history. This shit actually happened. Like, he's not making it up. Like, this is like saying, like, going through, like, World War II history, like talking about a concentration camp or like you're evil. No, I'm saying what happened. Like, don't shoot the messenger here. Like, some people like have like this problem with certain letters. That's how tongues work. That's how certain languages work. Obviously I don't specifically know certain word, but I'm sure like there are certain English words when I speak, it's like, what the fuck, that's weird type of thing. But then again, I'm kind of fluent in it. At a level, people like, why are you using different accent? I'm not. This is how I speak. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure like there was a Top Gear episode where in England, from Glasgow, there was some guy from Glasgow, squirrel or something, like they can't say squirrel, so they tried like on air. He proved that and bring that guy on like say squirrel, and he couldn't say that. So yeah, like there are many languages and different tongues that like have problem with certain pronunciation. It is what it is. It's not about racism.
From here, the Battle of Saipan is progressing, and day by day, the Marines are taking over more and more of the island. And with that, Guy kind of abandons his original protocol of waiting until morning, and he just starts going out during the day. He starts going out at night. Whenever he captures a group of prisoners, he brings them in, and then if it's still got time left in the day or time left at night, or he doesn't need sleep or food, he just goes right back out again and captures more prisoners. And as this continues to go on, he kind of becomes more and more of a renegade. He quits wearing his Marine Corps cap and he starts wearing just a normal baseball cap. He quits wearing his Marine Corps boots and starts wearing boots that he took off of a Japanese soldier. His reasoning for that is, I guess when it hits the ground, it's going to sound the same, so it won't alert the Japanese. He starts taking any medals off of Japanese that he captures or kills and putting them on his own uniform because he feels that he's earned them because he beat them in battle. He's really growing into that Pied Piper mythical persona, but nobody really says anything to the guy because he's so overwhelmingly effective. I mean, every single person that he brings back is A, a person, whether it's an enemy or not, it's a person that he saved, and B, he probably saved at least one Marine because that guy was gonna kill a Marine. So he's saving a ton of lives and people just kind of let him do whatever the fuck he wants. And as he keeps going out on this mission, he keeps acquiring cool shit. He's got some Japanese officer katanas. He's got a Japanese officer pistol that he keeps on his side as like his trademark. He's got all kinds of cool Japanese flags. He has all of the
Imagine that from somebody else's perspective. You see someone walking from the distance. Oh, it's Guy, and he suddenly has certain like wakizashis, whatever the small samurai swords, and then there's katanas. Like, what the fuck? And he just like just like smiling doing this, and then next day he comes, he has a whole samurai attire and shit. Where'd you get that from? And then some certain Japanese boots and things, clothes, like I don't know what's happening. And then like more and more captured people come, just like seeing that day by day happening, like what the fuck?
These war trophies, which is frowned upon today, but in World War II was completely normal. And some of the other Marines start to get a little bit jealous. They want cool shit too. So he starts bringing out Marines with him on these missions, usually only one guy at a time. On one occasion, his best buddy Hurley goes out with him because he wants a sword. Hurley goes out on one mission. It was pretty protocol standard for him, but Hurley thought it was absolutely crazy. He felt like he almost died. He vowed to never go out on a mission with Guy ever again.
No! No! No!
On a couple of occasions, he even took out Captain Schaub on missions because Schaub, he wanted to see what
There
was
should have been I Am Legend too. Let's be honest, right? Like there should have been something like that. There should have been like, oh wait a minute, Will Smith survived or some shit, like whatever, and like, oh, there's more story to it. I don't know, like, or maybe like have another I Am Legend but in different part of town in the same world. Some guy who works same as him, like, I don't know, Jason Statham or something. Somebody who's serious and can do that, or some new actor who's good enough. I don't know. There should have been I Am Legend too. That was like a really fun movie.
going on. He's been in the Marine Corps longer than Guy has. He was a veteran of Tarawa. He'd never seen an Imperial Japanese soldier willingly surrender that wasn't like seriously wounded on the battlefield and they scooped him up as a casualty. Like he couldn't understand it. He wanted to see it for himself. So they go up to this cave. Guys yell some shit into the cave in Japanese and Captain Schaub is like, what'd you tell him? And he's like, I told him I was gonna blow him the fuck up if they didn't come out here with their hands up. And he's like, huh, well that worked. And then they brought back a bunch more prisoners and they just keep doing it. On another mission, Guy goes out on his own and he's making his way through these sugarcane fields and he eventually comes up onto the farmhouse that all these sugarcane fields belong to. And as he's sneaking through these sugarcane fields, he gets a view of the front of the house, and sitting out in front of the house is a brand new Harley. It's not really a conventional motorcycle. It's like a three-wheeler with a little cart thing on the back to haul shit, but it's a Harley nonetheless, and Guy loves riding his motorcycle back home. He wants this Harley. And at first, he can't believe it. Like, what is an American-made motorcycle doing here? And I thought that was weird too, and I tried to figure out why or how an American-made motorcycle would be getting used by the Japanese military, and apparently during the Great Depression, Harley was struggling, so they actually gave out a licensing agreement to Japanese companies so that Japanese companies could recreate their own version of a Harley, and then they would manufacture them in China, and they were very popular in the 1930s, and they were used by the Japanese military all through World War II. So to be fair, it's technically not a legit.
Oh my god, are you telling me during World War II, Americans, Harleys basically give license to Japanese where they can make Harleys? Eventually that knowledge goes to something like Honda, and then Honda dominates American market much later after World War II. So Harley shot themselves in the foot by doing that. Is that what you're saying? There is an element to that. In India, there is a company called Mahindra, right? Mahindra and Mahindra, but Mahindra, as I say, who had license from Jeep, Willys Jeep, to make Willys Jeep. And they made Willys Jeep for long enough time, like for decades, I think. And then after that, for some reason, licenses, they were not partner anymore, something. And Mahindra started to make their own different type of cars and something that looks like Willys Jeep. It's called Thar. It's slightly different, but kind of the same, like inspired by it or something. I don't know. But a lot of other Mahindra cars. In India, Mahindra is now known for being rugged. Also luxury. Now they're into luxury. I had a Mahindra car 13 years ago, which was insanely good when it comes to luxury. Mahindra is known for in Himalayas. Like it was reliable as fuck. It's so good that it's getting sold in Australia now as a reliable car. And all this shit started because of partnership with Willys Jeep, where they got a license we can make Willys Jeep in India type of thing. So this could be some similar thing where Harley gave them license to make Harleys. Now that knowledge led to Honda vehicles where they can make mopeds and things after World War II.
Harley made by Harley here in the US, but it is Harley's design manufactured by a Japanese company. It's the closest thing he's going to get to a Harley. Not really believing it's a Harley at first, he starts creeping closer and closer towards this farmhouse. He's like 200 yards away and he gets closer. He's like 150 yards away and he's like, that's for sure a Harley. I know what a Harley looks like. That's a fucking Harley. Not only is that a Harley, that's my Harley. I'm taking that shit. But obviously there's military people inside this farmhouse. He needs to case the place first. So he starts working his way through the sugarcane fields around around this farmhouse, getting a good 360 view, figuring out everything that's going on. It takes him like 30 minutes to creep through this sugarcane field, getting a good 360 layout of this farmhouse, and the entire time he's just thinking to himself, like, I'm gonna be the first American on Saipan to have a Harley. This is gonna be absolutely awesome. As the front of the farmhouse and the Harley comes back into view, now there's 3 Japanese soldiers outside standing by his motorcycle. And at this point, he's like, fuck, okay, they're not gonna surrender. It's broad daylight. They can clearly see that I don't have them surrounded. This isn't like normal where I have them cornered in a cave and I get to soften them up with grenades and smoke grenades. Like, this is literally just a good on straight up 1v3 fight. I can't bullshit my way through this one. He's like 30 yards away from these guys, hiding in this sugarcane field, just watching them, and he's thinking to himself like, I should not have swapped out my M1 Garand for this M1 carbine. The M1 carbine, significantly smaller bullet. You have to shoot a man 2-3 times to put him down, or you got to hit him in the exact right spot. It's not like the M1 Garand, which
It's mostly the range thing. Like, obviously, with close enough, like, you don't need to put too much bullet into him. But it's a range thing. Like, Garand, like, you can snipe people, from the distance. You can be, like, marksman enough. But then again, you need to be marksman. Was he a marksman? I mean, yeah, I guess they were trained to it. I don't know. But yeah, M1 Garand would have been like great.
It's a high-powered hunting rifle chambered in 30-06 where you hit somebody, they fucking drop. So at this point, he's kicking himself for giving up his M1 Garand. On top of that, he's not a great shot, and he knows he's not a great shot. He barely qualified with his rifle at basic training. So he's just sitting in the sugarcane field weighing his options, and he's like, okay, I could just make a clean getaway, but reasons I don't want to do that is A, if I let these guys go, they're gonna go on to kill more Marines, and B, I want this fucking motorcycle. But then, as he's watching these 3 guys, one of them decides that they're gonna sit on top of the motorcycle. And in Guy's own words, and I quote, I don't like that.
I come about my bicycle, you son of a bitch!
He then immediately jumps up.
These 3 people could kill more Marines. What if they turn into bandits and ravage certain towns? What if they're instrumental and they end the world or something? Yeah, that's good enough. There you go. I want my fucking bike. That's what it is. Like, that's enough of enough of reasons.
Fires around straight at that guy's head, makes a direct hit, and then mag dumps the other 2 as he's walking towards them, dropping all 3 of them in a surprise attack. As he's running up to his bike, he makes sure all 3 of these guys are dead. He reloads his carbine, hops on the bike. He's not worried about it being booby-trapped because the other guy was just sitting on it, and he fucking takes off. He's in a hurry, doesn't know if there's more soldiers in that farmhouse or not, and he's not sticking around to find out. So he peels off, puts a bunch of distance between him and that farmhouse, finds some cover, pulls over real quick, pops his top off, pulls his white undershirt off, throws his top back on, and then continues driving back to the base. As he gets within eyesight of the Marine Corps lines, he's driving one-handed, waving his white skivvy shirt over his head so they don't shoot him. He makes it into the base, and everybody's like blown away. Guy has a fucking Harley in Japan. Everybody's coming up, they're talking to him, they're checking out the motorcycle, like this is the big event for the day, like this is the cool thing that's gonna happen today. And then, after a little while, some major comes up and is like, everybody off the bike, we need it over at headquarters. And they just straight up confiscate Guy's motorcycle. He tries to argue with the major. Major's not having it. He outranks him. Go fuck yourself. You're a
We let you keep certain shit, but that doesn't mean you own things now. This is military. Okay, we need this shit for messaging. Yeah, there you go. That's good enough. There you go. So major needs this bike. Straight up just took the Harley. Fuck it.
Private first class, I'm a major, I'm taking this motorcycle, it's mine. So in the moment, Guy's pissed off, he wanted that bike, but in hindsight, later in life, he did say it was probably all for the best because he was a young, dumb kid, and riding that Harley through enemy territory probably would have gotten him killed. And at the end of the day, he was just happy to be the first American on Saipan to ever have a Harley.
Especially with the Harley sound, blah, 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 like what the fuck is that? And everybody just like points guns toward it.
All the events that we've talked about have all unfolded in the matter of like a couple of weeks. The Battle of Saipan only goes from June 14th till July 9th. And by early July, the Marines had taken over most of the island, and it was very clear to everybody on the island that the Marines were going to take the entire thing. Because of that, both the Japanese soldiers and the Japanese civilians.
What the fuck? A tank flame? I'm pretty sure. Wait a minute. I've seen that in some other Federation video, but not at that scale. That shit was so big.
Get more and more desperate, and it turns into one of the most brutal and horrific events that I've ever looked into. Remember, as I stated earlier, because of Japanese propaganda, a significant portion of the Japanese population truly believes that America is cannibalistic barbarians that will do horrible, unspeakable things to them if they are captured, and it is better to die fighting the Americans or to just die than be captured. Because of this, as Guy continues
so
to
fucked
clear
up.
more caves, there's an increasing number of civilians that sometimes they surrender with the Japanese soldiers. Sometimes he comes across caves with no Japanese soldiers and he convinces them to surrender. But
Kids,
on other
oh.
occasions, there's caves where they don't surrender and he ends up throwing his grenades into the caves and he ends up killing civilians. More often
Man,
than
what if
not, they
that
were
kid's
all
dead?
holding guns,
Ah.
ready to fight him to the death, and he just didn't have an option. On one occasion, he approaches a cave and he yells into the cave.
You know, this is so fucked up. Like, I bet there's been there must have been situations where there are kids there in the cave and like nobody surrenders. Such a fucked up situation, right? Like, there are many situations in wars which is like dilemmas. Let's just say where there is no good answer. I don't know. Like, I would freeze up in situation like that. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Maybe when you're in the situation, it's either you or like the other guy or you or them type of situation. Maybe like anyone would make a decision for self survival or something. I don't know. But sitting here thinking like, man, I would freeze up. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
You know, come out, surrender, we're not going to hurt you, yada, yada, yada. And an elderly man and an elderly woman, a couple, like in their 60s, walk out, grandparents, and they're standing there, and the old man has a grenade in his hand with his hand on the pin. And Guy tells him to drop the grenade, and the old man just looks at him, pulls the pin, lets the spoon go, and holds it as Guy takes cover, and he just stands there holding it until it detonates, killing him and his wife, clearly under the impression that that was a better alternative than to be captured by
Damn.
Guy. As the Marines progressed and took the island, obviously they were
Man, guys should have been like, okay, why you doing that shit? Or some conversation like, yeah, we're not gonna get captured. Why? Like, we're gonna take care of you. Like, some conversation should have been there. Because he speaks Japanese. But then again, like, guys, like, why would Guy assume that they are thinking that? Why would Guy think that they're gonna think like Americans are so fucked up? They don't want to be captured. Why would Guy even think that, right? I'm sure like eventually he probably realized like this is what's going on and he must have talked. But yeah, this is so fucked up, man. Like, your own emperor or whatever government, but this in this case emperor, is basically your enemy. Like, don't get captured. Like, Americans are so, you'll kill yourself. Don't get captured type of shit. Are you kidding me? Like, what is, first of all, if it's soldier, you would understand, like, okay, they would compromise Japan or something or some shit like that. Civilians, why does it matter if civilian gets captured? At least they have to live. They can live. How does that change anything for the emperor or the Japan in general?
taking cities and small villages, and Guy was going with these larger military movements, doing everything he could to try to convince people to surrender and not have to get killed by the Marines. Like, don't fight, just give up, please. And what would happen more often than not when they came to a village was, once it became clear that the Marines were going to win and people truly believed that the Marines were going to do horrible things if they were captured, some of the soldiers and a lot of the civilians, rather than being captured, would run to nearby cliffs and jump off, thinking that that would be a better death. Now, obviously, this is absolutely horrible for...
That was a real footage? Oh god. See, this is the problem here. Sometimes I feel like maybe the emperor wasn't lying or something, lying to his audience, because he might be thinking that's what Americans would do. Because what Japanese did in China. What is the city's name? I forgot. Ah, man, how the... like, my memory is like, okay. What's the city's name? Like... in China. Nanking. Yeah, or Nanjing, however you say it. Yeah, that's like Japan did really fucked up things there, right, in China. So I'm guessing that was before this. So yeah, like they probably Japanese thought like, of course Americans gonna do some similar shit type of thing. I don't know. Like that could have been the case. I don't know.
Anybody that has to witness this, nobody wants that to happen, but to Guy, it was especially traumatic because he was the only Marine there that could understand Japanese and hear what these people were saying. As him and the Marines are begging and pleading these people not to jump off these cliffs, Guy can actually hear and understand children begging their parents not to kill them because they don't understand, they don't know the Japanese propaganda, they don't understand why their parents are about to hurl them off of a cliff, and Guy has to just sit there and witness it, and there's nothing he can do.
God damn it. You know what, like, when it comes to children, this is so fucked up because children are children. They don't understand anything. They don't understand like any nuance of anything. And when some fucked up things happen, it's like, when you really try to process it, you try to put yourself in their shoes and really try to process things, there is no revelation you can come up with. In the end of the day, only thing you're left with, oh, that's fucked up. That's the only feeling you will have. Like, think of any fucked up things you can think of, like you saw the news or something fucked up thing happening. You're like, You think about it, your brain will hurt. You'll basically after some time like, oh, that's just fucked up. Your brain will just shut down after that. Because we have like limited capacity when it comes to like that. Most people are like basically, oh, I don't want to think about this. I guess that's life and just moves on because they don't want to think about it, right? But when you really put through it, like put through your mind all that shit, only thing you'll come up with, oh, that's just fucked up because your brain can't process it. Certain fucked up things. It's so horrible, right? So shit like this, when I hear about, like, I can already imagine like all these scenarios. Like, God, that's so heavy. Like, if you witness this, like, you can't go back witnessing this. Like, you will have nightmares about this in the future. That's how fucked up it is.
On July 6, 1944, Guy goes out on another solo mission. He sneaks out into the jungle. It's an overnight mission, doesn't really find anybody during the day, and he's in an area that today is known as Marpai Point or the Bonsai Cliffs. Guy had no idea that this was actually the hottest area in Saipan at this point in time, and that General Saito, the Japanese general remaining on the island, had ordered all of his remaining forces, almost 5,000 Japanese soldiers, that they were going to die with honor, and they are all ordered to launch bonsai attacks and take 7 Americans with them before they died for the emperor. It was Japan's last-ditch effort to maintain control of the island. By the next morning, July 7th, all of these bonsai attacks had commenced, and Guy was behind enemy lines, surrounded by thousands of enemy soldiers, and has no other option but to climb to a high vantage point and watch this intense battle unfold. The Marines do take casualties, but it's nothing compared to what the Japanese experienced. The Japanese are just running head-on into Marine machine gun fire, dying at a rate of 8-to-1 to that of the Marines. Over 4,500 Japanese soldiers died that day conducting these bonsai charges. Guy stays out all day and all night again because he's behind enemy lines, completely surrounded. He's scared to move, so he just stays overnight again, and on the morning of July 8th, he starts making his way back towards the lines when he runs into a cave that has some Japanese soldiers that had survived the bonsai attacks in there, and he's kind of thinking maybe they're going to be willing to surrender. They just suffered tremendous casualties. They know the jig is up. The game is over. I can still save some of these guys. He ends up finding 2 Japanese soldiers that survived the battle. He convinces them to surrender, and as he's talking to him, he's like, is there anybody else that you know of in the area that you want to be able to go talk to and get them to surrender to, so you guys don't get killed when the Marines come through here with their flamethrowers and their grenades, because they're going to be clearing out every single cave. The soldiers tell him they are aware of a bunch of other survivors, and one of them volunteers to go and talk to those survivors and see if they're willing to surrender. The other one stays back with Guy. While the first guy is gone, he ends up talking with this Japanese soldier kind of casually and was like, you know, how come you didn't volunteer to go with them? And he's like, well, because if I can't convince them to surrender, they're going to kill me for trying to get them to surrender. At this point, Guy's kind of shitting his pants because he's like, okay, well, either this guy legitimately is willing to risk his life to get these people to surrender, or B, and probably more likely, he just used it as an excuse to get away and he's going to come back with more Japanese soldiers and they're going to kill me. But he figures, fuck it, I'm committed now, so he just kind of waits. And after a little while, 12 Japanese soldiers come walking up, not with their hands raised, but holding rifles. They're not pointed at him, but they're still holding rifles. Shit has officially hit the fan. The officer in charge of the soldiers starts talking to Guy, and Guy kind of realizes, like, okay, this guy's potentially opening to surrender. I just need to convince him. And Guy plays the entire thing perfectly. He lies his fucking ass off. He basically tells this officer, you know, please sit down, which in Japanese culture, like, kind of makes him the authority figure, like he's been sent there to negotiate. And he informs this officer, like, General Howling Mad Smith, my shogun, sent me here because he was so impressed with how valiantly you guys fought in battle yesterday. He doesn't want to kill such great warriors in caves like vermin. He believes that you deserve an honorable life, and he wants you to surrender to him, and when the war is over, he will honorably return you to Japan to live with your people. At this point, the officer's quiet. He's thinking. Guy knows he's right on the verge of actually pulling this shit off, so he pulls out his cigarettes, offers the officer one. He accepts a cigarette. Guy lights it for him. He takes a couple of drags, and the officer's like, do you have doctors? I have a lot of wounded people. And Guy is like, oh shit, I'm gonna pull this off. He's not thinking about his honor and his Bushido code, none of that bullshit. He's thinking about all the people that he can save too. And he realizes he's gonna close this deal. And Guy's like, yes, absolutely. We have medicine, we have doctors. If you guys surrender, I can take care of everybody. And with that, the officer takes one last big drag of his cigarette and says, so be it. I'm your prisoner. The officer then orders some of his soldiers to return back to where they came from and order everybody to come out. They've surrendered. They're going to start getting evacuated back to the Marine Corps base so they can get people to the hospital and get everybody fed and taken care of. And within 30 minutes, lines and lines of people start showing up. Lines so long that Guy can't see the end of them, and he's shitting his pants like, holy fuck. How many people are there? At this point, he's dropped his weapon. It doesn't matter anymore. He can't take all these people even if he tried. He doesn't even have enough bullets. If they want to kill him, he's dead. So he's just doing everything he can. He's trying to split up the military personnel and the civilians. He's telling the soldiers get their white skivvy shirts ready to wave surrender. He's trying to do everything he can for the wounded with the few medical supplies that he does have. And the officer is getting more and more impatient because he wants the people that are severely wounded to start getting medical treatment right away. But Guy doesn't have a radio. He has no way to communicate back that he needs help. And as the officer's temper is getting shorter and shorter, and Guy's starting to get that feeling in the pit of his stomach, like this guy's gonna change his mind and just kill me, the Japanese soldiers start yelling, "Marines, Marines." Off in the distance, there's a Marine unit approaching, and Guy immediately tells them start waving their white shirts, and the Marines see it, and they start making their way directly towards Guy. There's a bunch of Marines coming on foot, but there's a Jeep that makes it to Guy first, and he tells the guys on the Jeep, here, take as many of these wounded as you can straight to sick bay. Tell them we have a bunch of people surrendering. I need more backup to help get all these people out of here. Within 30 minutes, 100 Marines show up and start helping him process all these prisoners and start getting them all back to the line. And once everything's good and going, Guy's just like, fuck this, I'm out. And he heads back to the base. He's been out for almost 3 days straight, hasn't slept. It's been the most stressful time of his life. Goes straight to his cot, eats some food, and passes out. Next morning, Guy wakes up and Captain Schaub meets him and tells Guy that he just negotiated the surrender of over 800 Japanese prisoners.
Damn.
With that, by July 11th, the Battle of
Imagine that, like seriously, like if you're obviously this is a real scenario, real thing. So you don't expect movie level shit happening. So those captains and everybody just like, Guy did what? 800 POWs. Let's just process that number, 800. Like actually visualize 800 people. Like shit like this just doesn't happen in battle. Like how the fuck one guy is gonna like capture 800 POWs? And like even if you realize like okay, this is like a honeyed words and sweet talking guy who just like tell people, okay, this and that, but like you need certain levels of balls to do that. Like who's gonna risk their life like that? Guy did, right? So imagine processing like who is this guy? Like who's doing this shit like over and over again? Now it's like 800 people. What is he gonna do next?
Saipan comes to an end. There's still going to be skirmishes and pockets of resistance of small Japanese units that refuse to surrender, that are willing to fight to the death, but the official battle itself has ended, and the main component of the actual organized Japanese military has been completely dismantled. And from here, Guy gets sent over to the next island known as Tinian. And for Guy, at this point, it's pretty much the same exact thing, rinse and repeat, same thing he was doing over on Saipan. Find Japanese holdouts, convince them to surrender, bring them in. While he's on Tinian, he actually brings in 154 more POWs. It's pretty much the same thing, not much stands out, but there is one instance that stands out to him. Guy finds himself at the mouth of this cave. He knows there's Japanese people in there. He yells in, gives you a spiel, come out, surrender. I'm not gonna hurt you, I'll take care of you. There's no point in dying for your honor. Yada, yada, yada. He gives him 3 to 5 minutes. Nothing really happens. Okay, you did this to yourself. He grabs his grenade, gets his finger on the pin, gets ready to pull it. And as his finger's on the pin, he hears a child crying inside the cave. So he puts his grenade back and he can't do it. He's seen too many dead kids already. These kids are truly 100% victims in all of this. I mean, there's civilians that are fighting, refusing to surrender. They're victims, but nowhere near to the degree that these innocent kids are. These kids.
Yeah, that is what I said like few moments ago. Like, what do you do? Like, I would freeze up. Like, I guess like similar thing Guy thought like, oh, fuck me, I can't do this. Yeah, children are children. Like, children don't even process anything. Children have no say in anything. So that's just extra fucked up, right?
Kids don't even comprehend what's going on, and Guy has no idea what the situation is inside this cave. He could be in there with Japanese soldiers that are refusing to let them come out and surrender, and that's not the kid's fault, and he just can't kill him for that. But he also knows that he can't let him leave that cave and have those soldiers come out and have an opportunity to kill more Marines in the future, so he doesn't know what to do. He's just sitting at the mouth of this cave weighing his options. And after a couple minutes, an elderly woman in her 60s comes out, shaken like a leaf. She's absolutely horrified, and Guy, tries to console her, like, hey, I'm not gonna hurt you. Just what's going on? I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna feed you. You're gonna be safe. And the old woman is just begging him, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me. He's like, I'm not. Is there anybody else in the cave? And she says there were Japanese soldiers, but they left this morning and haven't come back. Right now, it's just her and her 10-year-old granddaughter inside of this cave. And Guy is like, okay, have her come out and I'll bring you guys back to camp, get you food, medical attention, whatever you need. So grandma goes inside the cave, comes back out with the 10-year-old granddaughter. The granddaughter is crying. She's inconsolable. The grandmother tells him, you know, this is my granddaughter, Michiko. Her father died a couple of days ago in the battle. He wasn't a soldier. He was just a sugarcane farmer. And we've been living here for a couple of years. We came here from
That ain't
mainland
right,
Japan,
man.
and we've been living here, and we just got caught up in this battle.
That ain't right, man. Like 10-year-old kid, like what the fuck? All these wars and all this shit. See, this is what people are talking about. Like people like saying like kids nowadays don't remember how fucked up World War II was. This is why you need history lessons. Like I remember as a kid, like who gives a fuck about history? Why do I care? Let's talk about science. Let's talk about technology. Let's talk about how LEDs are made. I remember thinking like, why do I have to like? I didn't care about history. But I was a kid. I was a moron back then. This is why you need history, so you don't fucking repeat it. That sentence, people just take it for granted. Oh, you learn history so you don't repeat it. Oh, isn't that a good slogan? No, think about it, you idiot. This is like, look at this shit. What does that kid have to do with anything? That image of that kid shaking there, like that's just haunting, man. How fucked up World War II was. And people are like juggling with war today, right? This is just so fucked up. India-Pakistan thing happened and I was like, oh my God, I don't care how and what. I hope this shit stops. Because both sides, like doesn't matter who flags what, who's right or wrong, there are innocent civilians there, both sides, and more innocent civilian than anyone else. All the politics, all the geopolitics, military element, that is like minority compared to how many civilians are there. In the end of the day, civilians are the one who's going to suffer. Look at Syria, right? Look at all this Middle Eastern country like Gaza, in like like all this shit. For what, man? All said and done, like, a few years from now. For fucking what? What's gonna change and what did anything do anything? At least in World War II, you could think like, oh, there was Hitler, he's an asshole. Okay, shit is happening. Even that's not good enough, like, oh, World War II was so fucked up. A lot of veteran soldiers, like, I don't want to think about it. Like, I know I did a lot of good there, but I don't want to think about this type of shit. So wars are just fucked up, man. Right? And Vietnam, I understand why Vietnam was so like that, like, stop the war, who needs war and all that element, because World War II just was few decades ago. People seen this shit and like, I don't care, I don't want to do Vietnam.
Guy feels horrible for the little girl. You know, her dad just died. He doesn't know what to do, so he just starts bringing him back to the Marine Corps lines, to the POW camp, and ends up dropping him off. 2 days later, him and Hurley go out on another mission. They find another cave. Inside, there's two guys. One's a soldier. The other one appears to be a soldier, but he's not in a uniform, so Guy still thinks he might be a soldier. They convince him to surrender. They take him back to the Marine Corps lines, and they end up interrogating him, trying to get whatever intel they can. And Guy is there interrogating the guy that's in civilian clothing because he wants to prove that this guy's actually a soldier, so they know. And during the interrogation, he ends up telling Guy that he's not a soldier. He just came here from mainland Japan to farm sugarcane, and he starts begging Guy like, look, I'm not trying to fight you guys. I don't want to hurt any Americans. Just please let me go. I promise I'll come back. I have to go try to find my mother and my daughter. They're out there somewhere. And the light bulb goes off in Guy's head like, there's no fucking way. And he looks at the guy and is like, what's your daughter's name? And he says, Michiko. And he goes, I know where your daughter is. He immediately runs across camp, finds Captain Schaub, tells him everything about the situation. And Captain Schaub is like, go, take a Jeep, take him to the POW camp right now, find their daughter. So they get to the POW camp. Guy explains the situation to the guard. He goes and grabs his commanding officer. Guy explains the situation. The commanding officer is like, bro, I've got thousands of people here. We're just trying to get everybody fed and keep them warm. I'm not keeping track of like names. I have no idea where this person is. They're somewhere inside the camp. If you want to go find them, knock yourself out. So they're walking through this POW camp for a while, and then finally Michiko actually sees them first and starts yelling in Japanese, father, father, and runs up and hugs her dad. They're crying. They're hugging Guy. Guy's hugging them. Everybody's crying. It's just this perfect moment where finally something good has happened on this godforsaken island. They finish up. Guy says their goodbyes. Michiko gives him one last.
I love how this is basically how as obviously we can't relate to any of this shit because we've never been through this. Only thing you can think of is like some fucking video game story. This literally feels like open world RPG game where like basically Witcher 3. Like in Witcher 3, a lot of fucked up shit is happening. A lot of results are not really results. It's just fucked up. Like there's no right answer type of shit. This is why Witcher 3 was so good. It didn't try to hold your hand. Valen was completely horrible. Stories were insane. Like what the fuck? Even the best outcome wasn't best. But there's always some side quest here and there which is like wholesome. You're like, yeah, I like that. So you feel that like how fucked up this game is, how fucked up this world is, but at least something good happen. There's some side quest or something. This literally happened to this guy, like literally the guy. This is what happened to the guy, right? He did all this horrible shit is happening, like, and then like at least one wholesome thing, at least one side quest was decent.
Hug and says in Japanese, "Thank you, Mr. Marine. Thank you." And with that, guy sets off to get back to work. They get back to camp. Captain Schaub calls up his intelligence crew and he's like, "Okay, here's the deal. Promotions have finally come through. Everybody's getting their promotions tonight. We're giving out awards, medals. One of you has earned a very high-ranking award." Everybody kind of looks down the line at Guy like, obviously he's getting the award. Rumor is it's going to be the Medal of Honor. He's pumped. Going to be a great time. Couple hours later, he calls them back into formation. They start handing out rank. So they go to hand out the rank first. Guy does not get a promotion. Guy should be getting a promotion just based off of how long he's been in theater alone, not including all the extraordinary shit he's done. What the fuck is going on? He's already getting kind of pissed in the back of his mind. He's like, maybe it's okay. Maybe they're about to give me the Medal of Honor and they're going to give me the rank at the same time. That makes sense, right? So they start giving out awards, and Captain Schaub did in fact put Guy in for the Medal of Honor. He wrote the whole thing up, sent it up the chain of command, and they bumped it down.
Oh, fuck you. Oh, by the way, this is illegal. He's doing a lot of illegal shit. He's single-handedly doing things which you're not supposed to do. This is not proper. This is not military way. I understand all that shit, but come on. Context, situation, the result. But in the end, this is gonna be one of those situations like, yeah, we can reward this behavior type of shit.
To a Silver Star. So Guy is awarded a Silver Star, not the Medal of Honor, and he receives no rank. There's no way around it. Guy is absolutely pissed off. I mean, Alvin York earned the Medal of Honor when he captured 132 POWs. Guy has captured over 800 in a single day, and his total is well over 1,000.
See, now that's some bullshit.
In his mind, there's absolutely no reason he shouldn't be a sergeant or higher and have the Medal of Honor. The only thing he can come up with is that it's because of his race. And to be fair, that's a strong possibility. As I said, the Marine Corps was 100% white until 1941. He was one of the first not white Marines, and the higher you go up that command structure, the older those guys are. I mean, the high-ranking Marines at this point in time are all dudes that fought in World War I. Presumably, they were more racist than the younger generation, so it would make it extremely hard for things like rank and medals to get awarded to somebody that was Hispanic with a Hispanic name. Now, personally, I do think that that definitely did play a role, but the part that he's not really considering is that while he was doing incredible things, those incredible things were very maverick type behavior, going out in lone wolf style, doing what you want, dressing how you want, acting how you want.
That just makes sense. Like gung-ho behavior, like we can't reward this shit. What if other soldiers like, you know what, I know what happened to Guy. Guy was badass, Guy got the Medal of Honor, Guy is like now major, whatever the fuck, like really high promotion. Fuck it, I'm gonna do the same thing. And everyone starts to do that, like, yeah, they're gonna die basically. You can't say like don't follow order or like give out reward for that. And as far as racism thing, like that must have played some part. Like it doesn't help. But like that element is already there, and on top of all this, so they're like, no way we're gonna reward this type of shit. But then again, like there are special situations. This is one of those special situations. You don't get things like this. He was one of the most unique person there who spoke Japanese, and he was in a unique position to pull out this shit, which he did. Like you need to see certain special situation. I don't know.
It's not the type of thing that the Marine Corps or any branch of the military would want to enshrine and uphold and say, hey, this is how everybody should be acting to achieve the highest honors. Because let's face it, if everybody was trying to do what Guy was doing, it would be absolute chaos and nothing would get done. That being said, I still think Guy deserved the Medal of Honor. If the chain of command is willing to look the other way to let him accomplish incredible things, they should also have the balls to reward him for
don't promote him, but give Medal of Honor. All right, you're not getting promoted, but you're getting Medal of Honor at least. Like we're gonna recognize that you did capture 1,000 POWs, and that deserves an award. But as far as progression, we won't like promote you. Like that makes sense. At least that's like middle something. He got Medal of Honor at least. Or don't give Medal of Honor, but promote him. Do something. Like, okay, we would give Medal of Honor to anyone at this situation, but you did all this shit, like this is not right. The way you did it. So we're not gonna give you Medal of Honor or even like Silver Star at this point, but we're gonna promote you. You have to do something.
Accomplishing those incredible things. All right, from here, Guy ends up going back to Saipan. Tinian was a much smaller island. They faced a lot less resistance. It was a much shorter battle. It was only about 6 or 7 days. And after that, they send him back to Saipan because there's still a bunch of rogue elements, small units of Japanese soldiers that are basically conducting guerrilla warfare, willing to fight to the bitter end, trying to resist the Americans. The ringleader in this entire thing is Captain Obu. He's the mastermind behind all this guerrilla warfare. And Guy decides he's going to go out there, he's going to track down Captain Obu, and he's either going to bring him in as a POW or he's going to kill him.
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
So Guy resumes his normal operations on Saipan. He's going out, he's taking in POWs, he's clearing out caves, he's doing his thing. And then one day, a larger army element comes in and asks if they can borrow some marine intelligence guys to show them around the island because they're there to help clean up Saipan too. Guy volunteers to be one of the guys that goes with him. He's guiding these army guys around, and while he's guiding this bigger unit around, they end up getting ambushed by Obu's men. In the opening minutes of the ambush, Guy is hit with machine gun fire, getting struck in the rib, having a bullet knock his baseball cap off, grazing his head, and having a bullet pass through his wrist, shattering the bone, and now his bone is sticking outside of his arm. Last thing Guy remembers hearing is the army commander yelling, "Get this Marine out of here." Next thing he knows, he's waking up in an army field hospital somewhere. He's laying down on a cot, and a nurse is holding a piece of cardboard between him and his hand as the doctor is presumably operating on it. And he's just asking the doctor, "Are you guys going to amputate my hand? Please don't amputate my hand." And the doctor doesn't really reply as one of the nurses puts a mask over his face and tells him to count backwards from 10, and he loses consciousness again. Next thing Guy knows, he's waking up in a hospital, feels like he's been hit by a truck, and he's hungover. He immediately looks down at his hand, sees that it's bandaged up with his fingers sticking out the bandages, and he exclaims to the nurse, all happy, like, "Hey, I've still got my hand." To which this grizzled army nurse is like, "Yeah, congratulations. Hey, did you know that you were allergic to morphine?" And he's like, "No, why?" She goes, "Because you're super allergic to morphine and you almost fucking died. Don't ever let anybody give you any type of narcotics ever again."
You promise you won't take any?
I promise. Come on, give me some. Let's go, man. Let's smell some. Hey!
Guy spends the next couple of days
Allergic to morphine, like that's a thing? Like, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm sure there's been critical situation in hospitals where like certain people are just point blank have really bad reactions beyond just simple allergies as well when it comes to like medicine. We assume all humans are same and they're kind like all humans are in a way. But there is like mutations small here and there, which when it comes to medicine, yeah, this sometimes is Russian roulette, let's just say. Because out of 8 billion, let's just say 7.9999 whatever billion people will find to certain medicine, but very select few, which might be whatever hundreds or thousands when it compares to like 8 billion, might not have like great result when it comes to antibiotics and things. And what if you're one of those person and the first time like it's like rolling the dice when you take like this like morphine or like some antibiotic and it doesn't work? It could even kill you, man. Like if doctors don't know what the fuck to do now, right? Like certain allergies, like yeah, you can overcome it with certain type of antihistamines or something. But if it's not allergy, it's just like point blank reaction to certain antibiotics. Like before you can process anything, like you're done. That's so fucked up when you think about it. Like every time you go to hospital, like this is the type of fear you would have. Like, okay, let's hope shit works out fine.
He's in the hospital. His friends are coming in to see him. Everybody's happy that he's okay. And then the Marine Corps, administrative guys come in and they basically inform him that he's going to be med boarded out of the Marine Corps and he's getting shipped back home. Guy argues and then begs and then pleads that they let him stay in the Marine Corps. He's doing something important. He can go out there and save so many more people if they just keep letting him do what he's doing. But they basically tell him like, look, man, by the time you're fully recovered from this injury, this war is probably going to be over. It's winding down right now. On top of that, even if the war isn't over and you're fully recovered, we can't send you back out into frontline combat with how severe your morphine allergy is. You're going to end up getting killed that way. So they just make the decision they're going to send him home. From here, Guy finishes, his initial recovery, gets a couple of days to go back to his camp, say goodbye to everybody, collect his belongings. He gets back into his tent. Everything's fucking thrown everywhere. They've stolen all of his shit. He had katanas, Japanese officer pistols, Japanese medals, flags, all kinds of war trophies, and somebody went in and stole absolutely everything. He's pissed off. He goes, he tells Captain Schaub. Captain Schaub is also pissed off. He says he's going to launch an investigation, but ultimately nothing ever comes of it, and he never gets his stuff back. And that's it. Guy heads back home to America.
The reason why he gets nothing back is because he's one of his own people, the people he served with. I'm sure there was some level of jealousy, like why does guy had to have all these things with him? And I know like he took certain people with him, but there's gonna be some level of like fuck him, like why does he get a katana? So as soon as you left, his own people just stormed the tent and took. It's not gonna be one person; it's like gonna be a lot of them. They just stole all the shit. Okay, you're gonna launch investigation, but who's gonna say what now? Everybody's involved. So of course nothing's gonna come of it. Like yeah, at the first time when he said like, oh guys getting all of cool shit, I immediately thought like, okay, people are gonna be jealous of that shit. Like something's gonna happen about that.
So, guy gets back home to America, pretty much immediately decides that he's going to move to Mexico, becomes an entrepreneur, opens up a furniture business, sells that, takes the money, invests in a new business. He's into imports and exports. He's also got a fishing business on the side, ends up buying his own plane.
Okay, past certain stories from Federation has all been like this. Some badass military guy goes home and just becomes a tycoon, a mogul, multiple businesses, rich or something. I guess if you go through like like near death experiences, you become like really confident and bold, where you can like I guess survive in this like cutthroat business of like capitalism and business in general. Fuck it, I'm doing this, I don't care. And if you are like certain type of bravery and like some brain cell, which otherwise you won't be surviving all this shit, yeah, you're probably gonna like be great at this. So past multiple stories has been like this, where like they become way too big businessmen, rich millionaires and shit like that.
He's super into aviation, falls in love with that. And then while he's also living in Mexico, he meets his wife, Ohana Suzuki. They end up getting married. And then in 1957, he has the opportunity to go on a very popular TV show at the time called This Is Your Life. They bring on Guy, he gets to tell his story, and then they surprise him by bringing out now Colonel Shab that he served under while he was on Saipan, and a bunch of the other guys from the intelligence unit that he was in. And they all completely verify his story that he captured at least 1,500 men and had 33 confirmed kills. Once his amazing story got out, Hollywood heard about it and they decided they were going to make a movie based on his exploits on Saipan, and that movie came out in 1960. It was called Hell to Eternity, and of course, for the main actor playing Guy Gabaldon, they cast a 6-foot-tall white guy because, you know, that just looks better than a 5'3", 120-pound Hispanic guy.
Look, man, I'm not gonna lie. I was about to say, like, okay, this is so badass. Certain story where, like, okay, guy was just lying through his teeth, trying to convince people, like, oh, we respect you so much, like you're some badass soldiers, like just convincing them to surrender. I was thinking, like, wait a minute, Brad Pitt could be part of this movie, like one of the latest Brad Pitt style movie, where he just like through his charisma, just like convinces people with his style. I literally thought that, and that's today. Back then, yeah, they probably cast some white guy. Why the fuck not? It makes sense.
Guy accomplishing all this epic shit. Buh! Why are you harping on the racism thing again? Why does it matter that he was cast as a white guy? Buh! Because it's fucking dumb, that's why, okay? If we're all gonna get mad and complain when a fictional character called Snow White is portrayed as a Colombian girl, I'm gonna get 1,000 times more mad when a real-life war hero has to be portrayed as a different race and be...
Look, man, I don't think Snow White thing is like, obviously there are assholes, which is always going to be there and which is always going to be vocal. But it wasn't just about her being, like not white. Like, okay, we can look past that. But she looks fine. She's been in other movies and things and she looks more than just fine. But the problem was the casting was weird because you have Gal Gadot as the queen who says like, I'm not the fairest of the one compared to her. It's like, you can't have one of the most good-looking models out there who's so good-looking she became one of the big stars on the planet because she's really good-looking and she's a model. Gal Gadot, you can't have her as queen. You should have chose somebody else as queen. And on top of that, her views are so fucked up. Like, every time she opened mouth, she pissed off people, and that kind of fueled the flames more. So it's not just about her being like that. It's like it was a very weird casting. You need to have casting right. That's what it was. It wasn't just about if she was white or not. That doesn't matter that much.
Significantly taller, okay? Guy Gabaldon should not be cast as a 6-foot-tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. He should be a 5'3" Hispanic dude, exactly how he was in real life. Guy is a war hero. Show him some respect.
Yeah.
Sorry, anyways, after his appearance on
the problem with any casting is like color of skin should not matter. Like, I don't care if some white guy is cast doing some instead of some Indian or some other Hispanic or something like that. But there has to be some similarities. Like, if the guy is like 5'5" or something, I don't know what his height is. an actor should be close to that height, resemble something like the guy. Skin color doesn't matter that much, because in the end of the day, you need to look for an actor who's really good at acting. And sometimes film business doesn't produce really good actors when it comes to like different races, because I guess through racism or whatever, like directors gonna think I need really good actor type of way. So that doesn't really matter that much, but like it has to resemble something. You can't cast The Rock when it comes to like say modern movie right now being made, The Rock as the guy. Like how the height, the build, the different charisma, how is he going to portray someone who's convincing Japanese people to come out at that build? Oh, I'm scared there are two people there, he might kill him. No, it's The Rock, 280 pounds, 6'4". So shit like that, there has to be some build wise similarities.
Is Your Life and the movie coming out, there was an enormous push. Everybody was like, why the fuck didn't this guy get the Medal of Honor? Colonel Schaub said that he signed him up for the Medal of Honor and it was kicked down. Nobody knows why. Give this dude the Medal of Honor. Unfortunately, so much time had passed at this point. I mean, it's been 16 years. They were so far away from the event occurring that it would take a literal act of Congress to get him the Medal of Honor, and it just doesn't come to fruition. So they upgrade his Silver Star to the next highest award below the Medal of Honor, the Navy Cross. Cutting back to real life, Guy is still running all of his countries all over Central America.
Yeah, Congress like guy who, guy what? You know that guy is a guy, like Guy, what's his name? It's Guy. Yeah, what's the guy's name? And all that like Ross Hauer joke there. That's what shit would have been happening. Like, why do I care about that one person? Like, that's not how Congress rolls, son, and just walk away. Where's my lobbying people? Where's my money? That shit was never happening.
Fidel Castro has come to power. Huge communist movement spreads throughout Central America. There's communist movements in a bunch of countries that he's operating in, and they're trying to nationalize a lot of his business. For those of you that don't know, nationalize is the communist term for I'm gonna steal all your shit. So Guy absolutely hates communism, man after my own heart. He gets pissed off and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go fight Fidel Castro. Puts an ad out in the paper for other war veterans.
People have misconceptions on what communism is. People think like free healthcare and free education is communism. It's not. A capitalist society can also provide a safety net when it comes to things like this in very clever way. That's what, like, who the fuck is that guy? I forget. Like, he was trying to do for years now, right? That's how a lot of people in America is trying to do that. Communism is literally, there can be no better person. All people are equal. If someone is better, I'm going to make sure they're fucking not better. Scientists, rich people, all that get screwed. Scientists, what you think bad, you know better than these people? Like, shit like that happens all the time. Communism is that bad. Nobody can own anything, so it's all public property now. Like, really? So I'm going to work my ass off, use my brilliance to do shit, and I'm like, oh, that belongs to people. Like that, there's no fairness when you think about these things. Like, everybody has to be equal by force. That shit is just next level bad, right? And, like an obviously bad element is going to be there because it's human nature. So whoever is leading the country is going to abuse that power. Or for the country, I'm going to do this. Or for the country, you're banned. Like, we straight to gulag. Like, communism is just some next level shit. Like, people say like, like if humans didn't have human error, communism would be great. Even then, like, no, just by principle alone, that's not right. You should have safety nets of things, but capitalism at the core is the only way forward. That's the one thing that's been proven so far. Any country you can think of, even China is so rich, that's through capitalism. Even though it's a communistic country, it adopted capitalism through America, doing business with America. And that's how it worked. But when things becomes too much, they clamp down as a communistic country would. And you can see the struggle there, like how there are certain cities in China that looks like Paris and different places, but that is culturally not right. So like CCP clamped down on that shit. Those are ghost towns now. So you can see a struggle there.
That are willing to grab guns and go to Cuba to fight the communist regime with him, and gets over 1,000 volunteers and legitimately starts organizing his own militia. Guy is like organizing an amphibious landing of Cuba so he can go to war and overthrow Fidel Castro, and is like making headway until the United States Attorney General has to step in and put a kibosh to the entire thing. From here, Guy realizes that his best bet is to just sell all of his companies before they get nationalized. So that's what he does. He sells his companies and then ends up up moving with his wife Ohana back to Japan. They lived there for a number of years, then they moved back to California for a little while, and then they end up retiring in Florida, where he would eventually pass away at the age of 80. And that is the story of Guy Gabaldon, aka the Pied Piper.
What's with Florida? Everybody retires in Florida. I'm guessing Florida is really nice. Like I was seeing like photos and videos on how certain YouTubers live there. It's like a really nice place. Is that why people go to Florida? It's like this is the best thing you're gonna have before you die.
Piper of Saipan, a 5'3" Marine that used his ability to communicate to capture over 1,500 POWs and racked up 33 confirmed kills. Not only did he save those 1,500 POWs, but he saved countless Marines that would have died fighting them in combat as well. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that the moral of the story is to communicate. It's literally the most important thing you can possibly do as a human being. Okay, every animal on the planet, the second they are born, they have the ability to do whatever is most important for their survival right out of the gate. When a horse is born, it can sprint in like 30 minutes. When a bee is born, it flies off and starts gathering pollen. And when a human is born, the first thing it does is scream. It attempts to communicate with the people around it. So please, for the love of God, communicate. It's the most important skill you have as a person. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com.
I like certain level of philosophy Federation just dropped there. Like, yeah, I like that part.
Quack bang out. Would somebody go update his Wikipedia page so it says the first American to own a motorcycle on Saipan? Please. I feel like he'd appreciate it. All right, for 4th of July, I'm giving away a fully decked out Jeep Gladiator. It has absolutely...
Ooh, look at that shit. I love pickup trucks, man, but like living where I live, like God, that's not practical. You know, like I was like almost bought one. Yeah, just like, but I took a friend's truck out around like a Hilux, Toyota Hilux. I like took around. I'm like, does not feel practical. Like, and then I backed out. But yeah, pickup truck is awesome.
Absolutely everything. It has 44-inch wide front and rear axles, a 3.5-inch lift, aftermarket shocks.
Damn, son, look at this coils and shit. It looks like, well, it's multi-link in front. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's multi-3-link. Awesome.
37-inch tires with a full-size spare in the back and custom leather interior.
Slow down, baby.
All you have to do to get entered to win is head over to Bunker Branding or thefatelectrician.com and buy some Fat Electrician merch. I don't care what it is. Shirts, hats, hoodies, water bottles, rubber ducks, absolutely anything is fair game. For every $5 you spend between June 30th and July 31st, you are automatically going to be entered one time to win this Jeep Gladiator. We're going to announce the winner in August. Now, the downside of all of this is that you're not allowed to do nice things without the government getting their cut too, meaning that if you win this Jeep, it's going to count as taxable income on your tax return, and you're going to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, both in sales tax, registration, and
what? How? Hold up there. Factory bought that truck, probably paid tax on it. Now, if he gives away the truck, the guy is not really paying for the truck. So what percentage of nothing he has to pay for the sales tax? How does that work? So they're gonna charge a certain percentage on the invoice that he didn't pay. But factories already probably paid it, otherwise that wouldn't come out of like, they wouldn't be on the road otherwise. Like you have to pay it before it goes on the road. Right? On-road price is literally called that. I guess if you, like in, you know, like in here, like when you change state, you probably have to pay again. Which is, to me, it just feels really fucked up. Like, really, I paid the tax for the country that I live in. Changing state shouldn't be, like, you know, like, it's not like USA here. This is very different, so I shouldn't have to pay tax if I change state. This is like, you find excuses to take money from people for the good of the country. Yeah, right, all the taxes are obviously being used really well, and there is no corruption, I'm sure. But yeah, like, this is insane.
This being taxable income on your taxes. So I'm also going to give the winner a check for $10,000 to hopefully cover all of that. It kind of depends on state to state. And of course, it's going to come with an autographed rubber duck.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
So yeah, go get some Fat Electrician merch over at Bunker Branding or thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
And so he would go up that mouth of that cave and he'd jabber, 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 and pretty soon somebody would dribble out, not always, but a good part of the time, because he could speak their language and they apparently they warmed up to that. Well, this was a time when I was out with him on one of these deals. I said, "What do you tell them that?" He said, "I tell them to get their goddamn ass out of there." But he told them in their language that you're a damn fool to stay in there and get killed, and we'll give you medical attention, we'll give you food, we'll give you water and all that, and treat you right. And he was able to convince them of that.
Yeah, that's like if you hear in Japan, like how honor and things are put so emphasis, like certain things are seen as like an act, like okay, somebody tells you to sit down, that's an official proper business, shit like that. So if your culture is like that, your language holds certain power. So if somebody speaks your language, you're gonna automatically take that person seriously. And then he says like, oh, you're gonna die in there, like we're gonna feed you this and that. You're gonna take that seriously somewhat. I guess that makes sense. Man, this story was so insane so far. Like the entire thing, all the way to end, where he's like, "Fuck it, Cuba, here we go." Before like Attorney General's like, "No, you can't do that. We have CIA for that. We'll take care of it, right?" I'm sure CIA took care of Castro and shit. Yeah. So this guy's been insane. I like this guy who's literally named Guy was so insane. Right, well, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.